Welcome to Beyond Boundaries, Beyond Borders. I'm your host, Walter Henry. We're standing today in front of the 1763 monument, which is a monument dedicated to Guyana's national hero, Coffee. Coffee led a famous slave rebellion in 1763, which lasted until 1764 for over a year. This successful rebellion was ultimately defeated by a combined force of Dutch, English, French, and Spanish forces, along with mercenaries. Slavery was introduced into Guyana in the 1620s and lasted until 1834. The topic of today's video is, will Guyana be the next victim of the Dutch disease? To put this topic in context, Guyana has a population of over 1 million, or slightly less than 1 million, and is a new petrol state with oil production approaching 1 million barrels per day. This is due to the prolific find that so far has been identified as over 11 billion barrels of recoverable oil. Major companies such as Exxon, Chevron, and the Chinese National Oil Company are here in Guyana, and they are producing the oil of over 1 million barrels a day. Production started in Guyana in 2020, so in 6 years, the oil companies have been able to expand their production to close to 1 million barrels a day. The estimate of 11 billion barrels of recoverable oil is very, very conservative. In fact, there is a feeling, although not confirmed as of yet, that the capacity for recoverable oil could be as much as 3 times that figure of 11 billion barrels of oil. The question of the Dutch disease is important because of the way in which the Guyanese economy is being managed and resources allocated. As a reference point, Guyana's national budget that just passed for 2026 is 1.558 trillion Guyana dollars, which is equivalent to 7.45 billion US dollars. Again, Guyana has a population of less than 1 million people. In 2025, the budget was $6.6 billion US dollars, which is equivalent to approximately 1.34 trillion Guyana dollars. By contrast, before the start of oil production in 2019, the budget of Guyana was approximately 301 billion Guyana dollars, which was equivalent to 1.45 billion US dollars. Compounding the situation is the depletion of the Natural Resources Fund, which has seen more than 95% of its assets or deposits withdrawn. This fund was intended as a rainy day fund for future generations and to mitigate against fluctuations in oil prices. This is critically important because oil prices are volatile. As an example, Norway has an equivalent to the Natural Resources Fund with over 1 trillion US dollars in assets. Additionally, compounding the budget issues is the focus of the budget. there has been little or significant social transformation occurring, as more than half of the budget spending is being allocated to physical infrastructure projects and not investments in human infrastructure, such as significant wage increases for public servants, housing, education, and health. These expenditures, although significant, has not provided enough of a focus with regard to the amount of funds allocated for physical infrastructure as opposed to human development. Further exacerbating the potential for the Dutch disease is the prolific growth of Guyana's external debt, which has grown exponentially in the past 6 years. Debt is being used to finance many of the infrastructure expenditures. In fact, Guyana's public debt is a staggering $7.7 billion US dollars. This approach will saddle future generations with interest and principal payments compared to a more gradual approach that is coherent and funded through national revenues, such as revenues from oil sales, as opposed to financing of the national budget through foreign debt. As we move forward with additional coverage of the transformations that are taking place in Guyana, as we look at physical infrastructure such as roads and bridges, we will also pay careful attention to the needs of individuals. How are individuals surviving? What are they spending on accommodations such as rent? What are they spending for their families for food, electricity, the education of their children, transportation? These are the questions that we'll be asking, and some of the questions that we will be providing our thoughts and ideas with regard to potential solutions to address these issues. We will be interviewing individuals who are decision makers and individuals who have a keen interest in what is transpiring here in Guyana, the physical transformation, but also social developments. At Beyond Boundaries, Beyond Borders, we look forward to addressing these issues not only here in Guyana, but around the world, as we chart the kinds of developments that are taking place in developing countries and also in the more developed countries, and what strategies they use to ensure that there's not only physical transformation, but also social transformation for the population at large. So once again, we welcome you in front of the National Monument of Guyana, dedicated to coffee, who was a slave on the Dutch plantation of Berbice, and we hope that Guyana does not become a victim of the Dutch disease because of the massive infusion and debt that is being developed and acquired as more and more oil revenues come into the country, which is leading to an inflationary cycle, but also leading to issues of social transformation and what needs to be done to ensure that there's not only physical transformation, but also social transformation and developments, so that the nation as a whole will benefit, and the benefit of Guyana will also impact on the CARICOM region, the countries in the Caribbean community, South America. In fact, Guyana, along with Brazil and Argentina, are the three leading oil producing states in South America. Right now, Guyana is producing more oil per day than Venezuela with its massive reserves. So we look forward to bringing you more content on this issue and other issues here in Guyana. And it will not always be serious about things like the natural resources fund or the budget, but also some of the issues that are transpiring as we speak to ordinary citizens here in Guyana to get their take on what is transpiring in this beautiful nation of Guyana.